On the 14th of March 2018, 3 RATAC people went along to New York to attend the Business Agility Conference. Peter Measy, Laura Powers and Stuart Young, who were all key contributors to the RATAC Business Transformation practice and were all ready to cross-pollinate ideas at this year's Business Agility Conference. The majority of attendees were consultancies, 27%, financial services, 17%, IT and software companies, 16%, healthcare, 5%, and retail, 5%. 3.5% of attendees were senior executives, 28% came from the frozen middle, 17% program and project managers, 28% were coaches and individual contributors. There were 15 graduate students from the International School of Management in France. They'll be heading back to school soon and leading the change in their curriculum. Nearly 40% of attendees came from outside the US. Canada 14%, Australia and New Zealand 5%, and Chile 5% were the largest single contingents, with other delegates coming from Brazil, Turkey, Russia, South Korea and nearly a dozen European countries. Perhaps more impressive is that 96% of attendees came from outside New York. We thought the structure of the conference was very innovative and not something we had seen before. The 2 main conference days were split into presentations by leading executives, thought leaders and practitioners. Each section was then split into 3 presentations followed by an interview by the audience. It was then time to dive deeper into the conversation and explore further learning. In the deep dives, the delegates could either attend a facilitated peer session to talk about what had just been presented, or attend a speaker's corner where they could talk with a speaker, or they could go to a quiet room for a period of contemplation. The conference closed on day 3 with an open space for further learning and to explore the previous 2 days. Having captured all 18 talks in pictures, Stuart Young provided a short visual thinking skills workshop to ignite the creativity of the business agility community. Slides relating to all presentations can be found on the Business Agility website. Here is a synopsis of some of the talks. Nancy Taylor of IBM kicked off the executive panel with her talk, "Are you ready to be a butterfly?" She set the scene by stating that agile transformation isn't about box ticking. She went on to talk about the need to re-energize lifelong learning and the importance of being a learning leader. John Smart of Barclays spoke about the yin and yang of speed and control. If you want to scale agile, don't. Focus on the outcomes, flow, quality, happiness and value. In essence, be the best at being better. Here at RATAC we interpret this as a relationship between Kaizen or incremental change and Kaikaku or revolution based on radical improvements. In other words, implement transformational revolution in an agile and evolutionary way. Andy Serio of Target reminded us that too much governance and control within an organisation can crush learning. Lisa Smith of Duke Energy used a great analogy of a flight deck to illustrate how business agility had supported the organisation to align on one mission in keeping customers at the heart of everything they do. Sudhir Nelvagal and Kailash Bruns of GE Global Research used the analogy of Agile as being the engine of their digital transformation, allowing them to fail fast and continuously improve. In essence, their learning engine. Susan Courtney and Joni Wheeler shared an inspiring story of leadership transformation. Over 6 months, they managed to restructure the organisation, improve customer relationships, and assess the health of the organisation. They achieved this by focusing on a leadership development journey, intense focus on the customer, talent expectation, and culture being non-negotiable. Culture was actually a salient point across most of the talks. Jimmy Allen of Bain & Company kicked off the Thought Leaders panel by informing us that growth creates complexity and complexity kills growth. He went on to say that the opposite of complex should be advanced and that we should change the behaviours of leaders, not managers, when scaling in an impactful way. Jutta Eckstein and John Buck of the Sociocracy Group introduced the concept of BOSSA for successful company-wide agility. If you genuinely value self-organisation, transparency, constant customer focus and continuous learning, then a blend of beyond budgeting, open space, sociocracy and agile may do the trick. Continuous learning also came into play during the talk by Ashok Mohan and Burkhard Lusty, from solo artists to an orchestra, as well as the desire to dig deep for problems and not to push to-dos across the business when working with different levels of the company. If we hadn't have attended the Give Your Employees a Voice talk by David Horowitz and Matthias Nino of Retrium, we would never have known the hidden layers of the business agility onion. Employee engagement, employee voice, and at the centre, retrospectives. and making sure they're regular and timely. Marsha Schenk from The Best Work People refreshingly brought neuropsychology into the mix with her talk. Among many nuggets of gold, she said that change was not entirely pervasive and that people can only be celebrated, in other words, made to feel important, by other people. Melissa Boggs of Agile 42 rounded up the thought leader panel with her inspiring talk, Agile Lighthouse. Within her talk, she highlighted how a mission, vision and values are the foundation of culture. It's not a silver bullet, but it's the first step. The co-founder of Birdsong took us on his amazing Agile journey into healthcare, once again reminding us the importance of being a leaderless organisation and the benefits of creating small, self-organising teams with a coaching on demand approach as and when required. ARD used the term minimum viable back office when describing their approach to growing the company. Lawrence Jourdain from BNP Paribas Fortis took us from healthcare to banking and provided a few tips on transformation from her experience. The tips that stood out were that models such as Spotify and SAFe should be an inspiration, not an obligation. Keep your eye on the long-term value you want to reach. Define a set of common structural changes and push everyone in the water. And finally, what will really pull your transformation is corporate culture. During the final panel of Day 2, Jason Tice of Worldwide Technology presented an invigorating talk on how collaborative play and games can enable human resources to better support business agility. As Jason says, if you want the right people on the bus in the right place, you need to interview the right way. Jason introduced a variety of collaborative techniques to interview people in a safe, clear and transparent way, including the use of story cubes and the candidate tree. Drawing was even thrown into the mix. Well, imagine that! Amanda Bellwood of Sky Betting and Gaming talked about how their fast-growing, award-winning digital company was winning in HR with the introduction of Agile. Amongst other insights, Amanda advised us to ditch the blanket approach to performance management and to get to know the person and not the role. Last, but by no means least, Brett Nelson, one of the business agility organisers, came out of the shadows to present his talk, Trust Being the Hidden Variable. Brett stated that you need to create a journey with leaders, create a culture of trust, and to focus on leaders first. All in all, a great event that we all thoroughly enjoyed and gained a huge amount of insight from. The opportunities for networking were brilliant. We met some old friends and many new faces. On a sad note, one of the founding fathers and titans of the business agility world died shortly after the conference. Mike Beadle, rest in peace. In summary, the Business Agility Conference was great, well worth attending and a must visit for next year. We'll hopefully see you next year in the Big Apple. Bye for now.